And we are recording. Okay, welcome to today's astrology study group. We are just getting going. So today we have a really interesting topic. I think it's very interesting. We're going to be talking about something called synastry, or using two charts, and we'll be comparing two charts of people. It doesn't have to be lovers. I'm going to show you some of that because it's just fun to start looking at that. Most people want to look at those things. You can go back and look at people in the past. You don't have to know their time or place because we're going to just be looking at just the planets themselves, one way, comparing that. But then if you do know the people's birth time, then we can go look a little bit deeper. So we'll be doing a few things. We'll be looking at comparing different planets, and then we'll be looking at where your planets fall in somebody else's houses. So one way, or one thing you can still do if you don't know anybody's birth time, if you just know the birth date, you can just run a chart or go look up where the planets were on that time. You may not get, the moon could be off, because it could be the day that it changes signs. But other than that, you could get pretty close just from knowing just that. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to share my screen. Synastry. Let me look at this one first for you. And then we'll go ahead and look at charts. Okay, so move all these things. These things are always in my way, not in yours. I got to move all these little windows when I get over here. Okay, so synastry, what is it about that special someone that gives him or her the ability to make your knees weak, your heart race, your brain to turn to mush? It's called chemistry. Astrologically, there are a few clear indicators that help you understand why one person has the power to give you an immediate rush while somebody else leaves you feeling flat or cold. Synastry is the branch of astrology concerned with how one person's planets interact with your planets, thus creating a unique synergy of energy flow between the two of you. Astrologically speaking, it's possible to know if someone is attracted to you and whether or not you share a mutual affinity. Of course, astrological indicators of attraction won't tell us much about the potential for love and endurance, but hey, it's a start. And isn't it fun to explore what your planets might do to the planets of your latest crush or husband or wife or just somebody in your life? All right, here so I can scroll. Okay, what follows is the lowdown of the dominating indicators of chemistry between birth charts. Keep in mind that the conjunction is the granddaddy of all of these aspects when it comes to chart comparisons. But we're going to look at a few things. So with the following aspects, if two planets are in the same sign and a close degree, you have a guarantee of sexual attraction. Sextiles and trines in close orbs are the next best. Squares and oppositions, while providing attraction of friction, often also comes with a challenge. So let's look at some of these. So what we're saying here is the conjunction between two people, certain things are going to be what sets it off, because you have two things in the same area. So let's define this a little bit further. So the sun and the moon. All right, a sun-moon conjunction is very happy indication of a conjugal life and a deep male-female compatibility, or anybody. It doesn't have to be male-female, like I said. I'm just kind of doing it because that's like where this makes the most sense and gets the most attention. But again, you can look at these aspects with anybody, any relationship. So say, you and your husband have a sun-moon connection. Well, that's going to be a really good relationship. What if you and your one of your kids have a sun-moon connection? That's going to be a really tight bond between you. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that your sun and their moon, or your moon and their sun, will be conjunct. All right, what does that mean? Okay, so let's just say your sun is in Aquarius. Okay. And then the other person's moon would be in Aquarius. That's what we're looking for. Or say your sun is in Leo and their moon is in Leo. Now we want a close degree to make it even better. So this is what we're talking about. So I'm going to go through some of these. There's a lot of them here, but we'll go through a few of these just to get the idea of some of this, and then we'll go look at some charts. So sun, moon, when you share sun, moon with somebody, there's an instant rapport that it can't be beat. One's essence, their sun, is embraced and understood intuitively by the moon. The moon person can count on the sun person, and this pair will easily get each other. Oh, she gets me. Oh, he gets me. Just understands, okay? When this combination is found along with one of the sexier indications of chemistry, it's likely to be a love match that's hard to beat. Therefore, a female ought to pay first attention to males whose sun is on the same position as her moon within a 10 or 12 degree orb, or better, a 5-degree orb. The closer, the tighter the conjunction, the stronger the influence. The orb is the distance away. Let's say, let's just go back to one of these degrees. Just say your sun was 5 degrees Leo, and his sun is 8 degrees Leo. That's pretty close. That's only 3-degree orb off. What if your sun is 3 degrees Leo and his sun was, C3, let's see, we could go, if we did like 10 degrees, 13, it would still be a conjunct, but not as tight, you know, the closer the better. So with sun and moon, we kind of allow a little bit more of an orb of influence. Other planets a little tighter, but I personally like to keep them within 5 degrees or less. It just makes more sense. It's like it hits nails on head, but you're going to be looking at everything. And if it's somebody that you know, of course, you know, it's like as opposed to somebody you don't know, it's like somebody you don't know might be, maybe it was a early boyfriend or something, or an early girlfriend. And you didn't really have to get to know that person. You just saw all that potential in there. But anyway, so if there's somebody that you know, and you can look at those degrees and you can say, well, this one is really close and we're really like that. Or this one is farther apart and it's not as, it has its tendencies. Okay. Okay, so if you have, all right, so anyway, you can read that. Even if your personalities are very different, you will understand each other very well, and you are truly friends as well as lovers. If you have children, you will be devoted to family and work together as parents. There's a deep mutual appreciation of each other. See, now this is interesting. So we got one person's sun and one person's moon that are in really good aspect like that. Now let's just say that both of your sons, your son to his son or something, is square or opposite. So that's going to be a little bit of but yet if you have this type of an aspect, it's going to override some of that. All right, this is why astrology is so cool to know this. So you can't just, like when you get a printed report, it's just one level. I mean, unless you really get an astrologer, somebody to sit there and explain it to you, you're going to, or unless you know astrology, you're going to miss a lot of this stuff. All right. Sun sextile sun. This is a great deal of compatibility between you, for you understand and are in harmony with the other's basic needs, aims, and approach to life. You build up and encourage and affirm one another, there's self-worth and self-esteem, and you find each other's company very comfortable and natural. This is a mutually beneficial relationship. Now, this is something you can also do. It's like, okay, sun sextile sun. If your sun is in, I'm just going to kind of try to use the same example, 3 degrees Leo, your sun is there. So the sextile, you know, 2 signs away either side. So if we go, so we're going to look for masculine sign on either side of Leo. So going backward, you know, so if we had Leo, we would go Cancer and then Gemini. And then so somebody would have 3 degrees Gemini. Anybody that's going to have 3 degrees Gemini sun is going to be sextile your 3-degree Leo sun. And if we go the other way, if we say Leo, and then we go Virgo and Scorpio, did I do it right? No, Libra. 3 degrees Libra will then also be sextile the 3 degrees Leo. Okay, so those are going to be anybody that has that. So this funny, it's like if somebody, you know, people that are born during those months, and if you get it to the right day, you can go figure out the day, you know, that 3 degrees would land on. It would be very early in the sign, you know, and if the sun moves a degree a day, and you know that it moves into that sign about the 20th of every month, you can just kind of figure 20th, 21st, 22nd. So 22nd or 23rd, a birthday on the date. Somebody's, that sun would be Sagittarius sun. I'm just picking on that 1 degree. I'll explain a little bit more when we get to charts. Hope you follow me. Okay, Sun Mars, or if someone's Mars falls in your 5th house of creativity. When the Sun and Mars are linked, passion is fortified. The Sun person feels energized in this relationship, and his or her sex drive is immediately aroused in the presence of the Mars person. Mars person feels prompted to pursue the Sun person in an assertive way. The thrill of the chase is intoxicating with this connection. So you see, one person will be one way with that one, and then the other ones will be that way with the other one. This is what's so cool about relationships. They're interesting too. Oh, a Sun-Pluto connection. Or if someone's house falls in your, someone's sun falls in your 8th house. Okay, because the sun, see, Pluto naturally rules the 8th house. So if somebody's Pluto, or I'm sorry, Sun is in that 8th house, it's similar to this. A potent, obsessive, and instant connection is felt where identities seem to merge, and you each feel a strong, fated pull toward the other. With this link comes the potential for deep intimacy, physically and psychologically. You want each other, body and soul. There's something oh so sexy about a person who can take you to the depths and heights of being. Venus-Mars conjunction. So this is by far the most famous intra-aspect of attraction. The planet of love, Venus, meets up with the planet of desire, Mars. And Viola, you've got chemistry. There is a magnetic force that seems to pull the two of you together when you share this link. This is the kind of connection that makes your knees go weak when your special someone kisses you. The female's Venus on the male's Mars, and conversely, the female's Mars on the male's Venus, are very happy indications for sexual, erotic, and passionate compatibility. As with all intra-aspects, Venus-Mars conjunctions can be reciprocal, as like the sun and moon. Okay, we just said that one either way. So that's a good one. So we're going to look at some of these. I tried to put these in an order, you know, did the sun ones and some Venus ones, Mars ones. So we'll go look at some of these. All right, Venus-Uranus conjunction. They always indicate a lot of eroticism blended with cerebralness, with the Uranus person intellectualizing the love relationship. An electric, though refined effect powerfully boosts the erotic life. Pep, dynamism, originality, and even marginally are the keywords of your relationship. The couple never gets bored, sometimes at the risk of going on a roller coaster ride, owing to the Uranus person's behavior, forever unpredictable. So between Venus and Uranus, the erotic element is more active than ever. Many a one-night stand was created thanks to this link. A Venus-Uranus connection is known as the love at first sight aspect. Electric attraction is obvious between you and anyone you share this connection with. In fact, it is such an exciting sensation that you simply must scratch the itch immediately. This contact alone, however, is not enough to assure longevity. Still, it is all you need for someone to take your breath away. Venus-Pluto conjunction, or if someone's Venus falls in your 8th house of intimacy. Because of the other one, we had the sun, now we got Venus. They herald passion and eroticism, which are more instinctive than intellectual. If the couple, the Pluto partner has the active and predator role. If you're looking for deep, intense attraction that leads to transcendental love experience, then this is the link to share. This connection is all about the power of love, intimacy, and deep sexual sharing. Sexual intimacy evolves to the highest possible level when under this intra aspect. We often find ourselves incredibly vulnerable and under the spell of someone whose Venus aspects are Pluto or vice versa. As I want to just let these sink in a little bit, because there's been times in all of our lives where we've felt certain things with certain people, but then it's not all inclusive. You might feel this attraction of this, like, what is going on? But yet you may not like that person, but you're attracted though, or there's just all these weird mixes of stuff that is very interesting. So we'll read on a few more. Venus ascendant. They are always interesting and pleasant for the affectionate harmony of the couple. They even constitute an asset for the relationship's physical chemistry. See, somebody's Venus is on your mask to the world. So if they validate you, oh, my beautiful honey, I love you. You look so wonderful. I love your eyes. I love your boobs. I love the way you lie. Okay, that's going to make this even more dynamic or make this more active. Venus ascendant opposition. Now, this is interesting, the opposition here, because if it's, the Venus is opposite, then, it's not conjunct the ascendant, it's opposite of the ascendant or in that 7th house, or it could be, right at the end of the 6th house, but it's over there. It's probably over in the 7th house. You're very, very special and important to one another and may feel that you have found the love of your life. See, because that's the other person, the Venus is in opposite to your ascendant. So it's not about you, your ascendant, it's the Venus is over there. Okay, the person whose ascendant is in aspect especially is very fulfilled romantically in this relationship and marriage is likely outcome of the love, closeness, and happiness you share, because that Venus is over there in the others, one of them's other people. Okay, Venus trine Mars. Romantic feelings are strong and you are very compatible sexually. It is unlikely that the feeling of being in love will ever fade, and it is likely that you will both see each other as someone very special and dear to you throughout your lives. Your relationship is warm and romantic and very fulfilling to you both. Venus sextile Saturn. There's a high level of trust. See, this one is probably not going to be real sexy and like the Mars one. We're going to expect something different with Venus and the Saturn, right? Okay. Both of you are willing to make sacrifices for each other, but the sacrifices are hardly noticed because you love each other and it feels natural to give to one another. If you have children, you will find that you are able to work together very effectively as parents and meet the many trials and tribulations effectively. Your love for each other grows through the years, and the respect and appreciation that you have for each other is very great indeed. This is a lasting, deep, meaningful relationship. Moon ascendant. This is an excellent influence regarding daily life and moods. It's also a reliable indication of very good physical chemistry. So we got somebody's feeling and then somebody's mask to the world. For aspects involving the ascendant, select here the same, don't worry about that part. Okay, moon ascendant opposition. So we have, although your tastes and preferences are often completely opposite from each other, you love and admire each other very deeply. There's an almost maternal tenderness that you feel for each other, and the warm sympathy and caring that you feel for each other fosters a closeness and lasting relationship. There's a soul kinship between you. It's got that emotion, and then we got that ascendant. Somebody's, they're them. They get me. Another one like that. Moon. Between partners, emotions are in tune. This is always beneficial for the success of the couple. So we want to look at where the moon is, and we'll look at some in a minute. Moon Mars. Emotional arousal is a strong factor in any compassionate relationship. Sure, the occasional one-night stand may have a place in your life with this, but when it comes to sensitive chemistry, this link is hard to beat. You each get to each other's core, affecting each other in a visceral way. Sex is not just sex when you share this link. Connecting sexually to your mate enhances your feelings and deepens your bond. They are at the same time nice and potent, though in general too potent sooner or later. Sooner or later, the moon person feels aggressed by the partner's Mars. However, if the rest of the chart concurs, everything may work out well, as compared with oppositions and squares between these planets and their insurmountable tensions. But see, we still have moon feeling, Mars action. So the Mars person could be a little overbearing on the moon person. I mean, it could be a little bit like that. And the moon person could be a little intimidated, but still intrigued by that Mars connection, because that's that energy. All right. Moon trine Pluto. You have a very deep appreciation for each other's innermost feelings. This is not a superficial relationship. Anything with Pluto is not going to be superficial. This thing deep, transformative. From the first meeting, you found that you could reveal to each other your deepest concerns, fears, and drives. At the least, you are close friends, yet this deep appreciation and rapport is conducive to a long-lasting marriage. Now, what if you had this like with your child, a moon trine Pluto? You know, you're gonna know that person's feeling. You're gonna be connected to that person's soul. You know, you're gonna be very close friends. So take these things too. It's, you know, other than just your sexual relationship, take these and all others and just twist the meaning a little bit. You know, it's like, it's not going to be a marriage, of course, you know, but it'll be a deep connection in some way. Moon sextile Saturn. Okay, so now we got the sextile, which is less than, remember we said that the conjunction's granddaddy, but then we have Moon and Saturn. Every time you see Saturn, you're going to be a little, you know, so a level of mutual trust and respect for each other is very high. Okay, you are very responsible and honest to each other. You're able to communicate your deepest concerns, values, Saturn, and priorities, morals, beliefs with a candidness and frankness that's impossible with most other people. It is likely that your relationship will be a long, stable one because of Saturn there with the moon, stabilizes it. And the sextile is a nice relationship. Okay, Mars ascendant, Mars Pluto, Mars trine Pluto, Saturn trine Saturn, and then we can get into looking at midheavens and then some other parts of this. There's a lot of stuff here, but I wanted to show you some of the biggest ones here. And there's books written with all kinds of synastry. Let me stop share a second. Okay, so those are just a few of those aspects we start looking at. And move that. Let me see. This one, if I can get it out of here. These people, I've showed you some of theirs. This is Marion March and Joe McKeever's The Only Way to Learn About Relationship Synastry Techniques. This is very, very good. They go through a lot of good things and give you examples in this one. That's probably one of my favorites on that. But then there's books of just that explain, that give you all those synastry. This with this person's that, and that person's this is with this, and just, you know, it goes on with more than I listed, because you can't just look at, I mean, it's easier to go find them and then go look them up, or to go see what they are, you know. But let's go over to the charts. Share screen. Yay. And we'll share here. Okay. Yeah, move these all the way. I'll make it bigger for me. All righty. Now, I thought we would just go look at some people. So let's look at, I guess I'll leave this down there. Just things get in my way. All right. If you can't see my chart or anything, just unmute yourself, or if something's on, then just get my attention. All right, I'm gonna do a bi-wheel, and I'm gonna do Melania and Donald Trump, and we'll do, I wanna do a bi-wheel, come on, baby. Bear with me, get it here. I wanna do, why isn't it giving me the bi-wheel? Oh, it's giving me the rings, hold on. All right, there we go, it's hard to read. Okay, there, let's put him on the left and her on the right. Let's do it this way. Okay, there we go. Okay, Donald Trump and Melania Trump. Let's just look at this. All right. Screen sharing is paused. No, okay, that's good. That's good. Everything, I think, if you can't see that, let me know. Okay, so we're going to go look at some of these. We have, wow, she's a Leo rising too. Look at them both. Both of them are Leo rising. I didn't know she was a Leo rising. I knew he was. Very cool. All right, so let's look at some of these things. Let's look at one of them, Sun. Okay, he's got Gemini Sun. And then let's just go look at some of her stuff. Let's look at her Sun. She's got a Taurus Sun over here. I'm going to go back and forth. Let's just look at, maybe we're going to look at the Sun, you know, the circle with the dot. So she's got 5 degrees Taurus. He's got 22 Gemini. So they're right next to each other. I think we're okay here. All Okay, so their suns are next to each other, so that's not real significant. Let's just look around and see if there's any, let's go look at these degrees of stuff. So we got him.
I'm sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
please.
nobody can see this charts. It's just a black screen.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. That's what I was wondering. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let me get this here. How about that? Can you see that one now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yay. Good. Yeah. Always whenever that happens, just please interrupt. All right. So here we go. We got his sun here, 22 up here, and it's in his 10th house. Her sun is right on the cusp of her 10th house. Look at that. It's like, I mean, it's just right there. It's probably right on there because you know how birth times are. But look at that. Interesting. But okay, so one thing was catching my attention here. So we're going to look at 22 degrees and look around here at her stuff to see anything's at 22. And this pops out right here, Mercury. So she got Mercury in Taurus. Look at all this stuff in Taurus here. She's a real earthy lady. I mean, you can see, and she's beautiful. You know, she's got Mercury and Venus and Saturn and Sun all in Taurus. So it gives her that real earthiness, you know, and then Venus here gives it that prettiness, that earth quality there. And then Saturn there gives her that stoic, serious kind of ness to her. But anyway, her mind, you know, this is like a semi-sextile. It's sitting right next to it. So they're kind of like neighbors about that. You know, it's like she's, you know, her mind right there is supportive of his son, but it's not, she doesn't get it because, I mean, she got her own kind of a thing, you know, because they're not in the same sign, same element, but yet it's like having a good next door neighbor. All right, let's see if anything else there at 20 some degrees. I'm seeing here 25. We got a Virgo, so we got a Pluto. I'm sorry, is that? Yeah, Pluto and Virgo. So Pluto, so we got a Virgo. What kind of aspect is that? So we've got an Earth, mutable, and we got mutable. Okay, so we got a square. We got a little bit of square. So this is interesting. That's deep with the square in that, you know, so she transforms him because her Pluto is there and it's real close to his sun, you know, so her Pluto is very transformative to him. Yeah, she totally transforms him. That's good for him. You know, that's a good tension on that one. But let's just see if there's other stuff we were looking at. Okay, the moon is not there. Okay, she got 6-degree moon. And then how about his moon with hers? Okay, his moon is 21 and hers is 5. Her sun, no, that does not, they don't have that. Let's see about, let's say, okay, so Venus, his Venus, 25 Cancer, and her Venus, 28 Taurus, so that's 3 degrees. That's pretty close, and that's a nice sextile. Those are 2 signs away, right? All right, so that's cool. So now we're looking at, okay, so we're comparing their Venuses. So that's like their stuff that they like, and they're incompatible elements. You know, they're friendly on that area. It's not so much sexy, you know, but what they like is compatible because we're comparing Venus to Venus at the moment, and they're in sextile signs. If I'm going too fast, or if you need me to say it again or anything, just stop me. Because I know this is a little bit different, trying to get your mind back and forth with this, but we're comparing back and forth with people. So let's look at like his Venus and her Mars, and then we'll go the other way around. So we're 25 degrees. Let's look at her Mars. There it is in Gemini, 5 degrees. And then we had that at 25. Nope, that's too far away. Now, how about her? Her Venus is 28, and then where's his Mars? His Mars is 26. Okay, well, that's close. And how about the relationship between them? So we've got a fixed sign and then another fixed sign. Well, we got another square. Whoops, another 28 to 26. Yeah. Yeah, fixed. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 2 degrees off. That's pretty close, a little less than 2 degrees. So Little square there. So there's a little tension, a little, maybe, you know, it's like, so she's got, she's a Taurus, and then he's got the Leo there. So a little bit of a nice chase, a little tension there, a little nice play with Venus and Mars. You know, again, this would probably be some of the sexual attraction between them. You know, her Venus is, you know, square his Mars, or his Mars square her Venus, right there, both fixed signs. All right, so we saw one thing there that's pretty close on that type of level. Let's keep looking at some other things. Let's look at their minds. Let's look at their Venus or their Mercury aspects. So we've got 22 Taurus, and then where's his mental? 8 Cancer. So he's pretty family thinking. I mean, he's, you know, being with the mind in the Cancer, home, family, about this type of, you know, these types of things. I'm just going generalities, but so we got 8 degrees, and then she's more the earthy, down to earth thinker. You know, he probably is a little bit more emotional, thinking, thinks, feels. You know, he's probably more intuitive because he feels here. And then, you know, where she's just real earthy, she's just very practical minded. And then, you know, right close here to the Saturn, that makes that real stoic anyway. What else can we tell here about these two? Moon, so we already said is 6 and 21. How about anything of his with her 6-degree moon? I'm trying to see anything. Well, his mind in her moon, you know, we've got a his Mercury at 8 Cancer, and then her moon at 6 Capricorn. So there's an opposition there. So we got like her feelings and then his intellect. So maybe they're not on the same page with thinking, and that maybe they kind of different lives on that level. What else would I say about those two? So the moon, and then the moon and Mercury being an opposite. So we have one feeling, you know, maybe they don't understand each other's feelings and thinking, but they seem to be okay with that. So they're not on the same page on feeling. She's more practical feeling, you know, which kind of goes along with all the stoicness here. And then he's, you know, with this feeling, and then he's, you know, with the mind, because I'm looking at this between them. He feels. And that would actually, the think feel, actually, as I look at this more, it's that her moon, you know, moon rules Cancer. So that actually would be quite well, because this is in Cancer here, because that's the natural home of the moon. So she probably feels comfortable talking to him, or he feels comfortable talking to her about emotional things, because we have that moon. It's like its home is where his Mercury is. Okay. What else can we tell? Let's see, look around. Anything else pops out at me? I'm looking for degrees of things. We already looked at Venus, Mars, ascendant. Okay, what's anything of his? And I want to get, I like to look at more of the inner planets. The outer ones are a little bit harder because it's more generational. All right, let's do another one. Let's go look at file. Clear, do new list, cancel. Whoop. Yes. Okay. Let's go to, let's look at these two. Hillary Clinton and Bill. And let's do that. Do 2 wheels. And we'll do it the same way. We'll do the man on the left. There he is. Hillary on the right. Okay. Can we see this still? Is everything okay with this one? Because I don't think I had to reshare my screen or same. If it's not, let me know. Okay, this is an interesting couple. He's a Leo with a Libra rising. So this is definitely a womanizing kind of trait here. Look at this here. Mars, Neptune, Venus, and Jupiter, all in the first house, all in Libra. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Well, we want to analyze it, but we're going to look at both of them together. It's like, but sometimes you just see that stuff. Look at all that stuff that's about him. I mean, just like, look at Mars right on his first, right on the cusp of his ascendant. He's just, aggressive about his mask to the world. And then, with the Neptune there, oh my goodness, that's like that's totally, it's, what you see is not what you get. That's totally deception, right there on the ascendant. Oh my goodness. It's like, and then look at this conjunct too. Neptune and Mars are conjunct at 6 degrees. Wow. That's like, there's a hidden agenda, a hidden motive, or hidden things beneath the surface behind his drive energy. It's like, this would be, I'm going to see what I can get out of her to advance my agenda, what I want. And then look at Venus over here. There's another part of the womanizing. And look at this, how close those are, only 5 degrees away, at conjunction. I mean, and he can't see it. Everybody else can see it. Nobody, remember, everybody else can see your conjunctions. I don't know why everybody's looking at me. It's on you. You can't see it. I can't see this, but everybody can. Everybody else can. And then it's kind of a wide Jupiter, just in that energy, that whole energy of others. And then Aries is over here, of course, on the other side, you're making him very aggressive, toward his partners. Just looking at that. Okay, looking at her is just real quick, I'm just trying to, first things that jump out at me about people. Looking at her ascendant, and I see her south moon node. Well, first of all, she's got a Scorpio rising. And that is not sometimes the most nice, warm, sexy exterior. It is a stinging exterior. It is a deep exterior. You be careful if you look under the surface, you got Pandora's box. And it's very interesting that she's got the moon nodes here. She's got them in her first, in her 7th house. So look at this, the south node, in the sign. And we haven't talked about nodes yet, but I'll just give you one little thing. That's like where you're coming from, your south node, where you feel comfortable with, and then your north node, where you're going to. So she's comfortable being a bitch. She's comfortable being nasty and mean, and her face to the world of being intimidating and being a real manipulator. She's comfortable with that. And she's having to go, going toward Taurus. She's have to go, this Taurus is having to be grounded, having to get earthy, having to go learn truth the hard way. This is what I would definitely say. The easiest thing I could say about her ass. All right, let's look at them two together now. Let's look at the suns. First thing, 26 Leo, and we've got in Scorpio. My God, look at all the stuff in the 12th house. I mean, this one is in 11th, but look at this, Venus in the 12th house in Scorpio, and Mercury in the 12th house in Scorpio. So she's deceptive behind the scenes like he is, but he's kind of upfront about it. But it's different. He definitely is a womanizer, and he's upfront about it. He goes, hey, little lady, look at that there. It's like, that's there. People know and see that. And she is behind the scenes with all this stuff there in the 12th house. Look at that. So hidden behind their agenda. And then in Scorpio too, the depths. I mean, it trines the ruler of the natural ruler of the 12th house. Pisces there, and then she's got Scorpio there, the water sign. So that just makes her, I think, cunning, conniving, manipulative, all that stuff right there. Okay. Sun to sun. Don't see anything there. It's because they're not in the right orb. But let's see, if we took that back, that would be Leo. That would be, no, that's okay. All right, so let's look at her. Okay, so his sun, let's look at over to 26 degrees. Let's see, what do we got? Anything around 26? Let's just look around here. 5. Okay, nothing is really aspecting his, her planets are not aspecting his sun. But what we do have with them too, so we have a fixed sign and then we got another fixed sign. So their suns square each other just by element. So they have this competition type thing. That's not a real, you know, I mean, that could be dynamic, you know, and it definitely was. I'm not saying I agree with them or anything like that. I'm just looking at their dynamics. But that definitely is a competition, one-upping each other kind of thing. Okay, let's look at their moons. His moon's in Taurus. Hers is in, where's her moon? Her moon's in Pisces. Whoa. Taurus and Pisces. Okay, so we got a 20 degrees and 22 degrees. All right, so we got a sextile between their moons. Maybe there's the connection. It's only 2 degrees off. That's pretty close. So it's a nice sextile. 4th house, 8th house. Interesting. Okay, so their emotional sides, they get each other on that level. They support each other in crime. Let me put it that way. All right, that's what that's what that means there for them. Let's see if there's anything else there. Okay, so we have 22, 23. How about the Venus and Mars stuff? Okay, let's look at his Mars and her Venus. 6 degrees and her Venus 16. Nope. And that's just right next to each other. Okay, how about the other way around? How about her Mars? Her Mars is 14 at Leo, and then his Venus was Libra. Okay, so that's 3-degree orb, and then let's go check the aspect. Okay, so we have 14, and then we had 11 right here. So 3 degrees. So we have a Leo, and then we have a Libra. So those are 2 signs away. We got a sextile with her Mars. So she's more the aggressor. You know, her Mars is conjuncting his female side. Her male side, I'm sorry, not conjunct, is sextiling his female side. So there's a little bit of the attraction. She probably was more attracted to him than he was to her, because this is more the aggressor, you know, and then this is in a, you know, it's in a female area, you know, this is in its own area, Venus, you know, in Libra. But Mars in Leo, you know, that's pretty aggressive, and that's going to be the chase. So somehow maybe that was it, and that would explain a lot, you know, of why he was off with affairs and other people and everything, because he wasn't attracted to her. She was attracted to him. Because, and then it goes the other way. His Mars, you know, doesn't make any aspects to her Venus there. He wasn't, so you can see it's one way, one-sided. All right, what else can we tell about them too? We said the moons. So they're emotionally allowing each other to do stuff. They're partners in crime. She allowed him to do that because she wanted you know, she wanted the power. She's all about power. And didn't love him, you know, there's no love there between these two. What else here? Let's see, their minds. Let's look at their, you know, how the Mercury's. So we got she got the Scorpio Mercury, and then he has, where's his Mercury? He's got the Leo Mercury. So that's a fixed sign. So they're square. So their mental, their suns and their mental capacities are square. A competition. This is not a loving couple. And they didn't stay together because they loved each other. So you can kind of just start comparing these things, and I'm hoping you start to see these things. Now let me show you another thing about comparing people. I wanted to show you, just looking at this one's this and this one's that. Now, how are we doing on time? We're pretty good. If we take one person's sun and put it in the other one's chart and vice versa, we can put things back and forth. We see how they affect each other. So let's look at where his sun is in her chart. So where is 26 degrees Leo in her chart? So Leo is up here in the 9th house. And yeah, it goes over a little bit there. Okay, so his sun would fall in her 9th house. So he has a 9th house appeal to her, a Sagittarian, a hope, You know, he gives her hope. He goes, honey, you can do it. You know, I have all faith in you. You know, all this kind of shit. You know, so that's how he affects her, and how that's why she likes or needs that from him. Somebody's son in her 9th house is going to validate her, is going to inspire her, because this is that Sagittarian house. This is this, you know, this hope, this following your bliss out there. Now let's look at where hers falls in his chart. Let's look where 2 degrees Scorpio falls in her chart, his chart, I'm sorry. So Scorpio is down here in his 2nd house. So let's see. Actually, no, look, if his birth time and everything is exact, I mean, if it's correct to, you know, and to the best of my ability, the time and everything, knowing this is true, her sun is 2 degrees and the cusp of his 2nd house starts at 3 degrees. So it would actually, her sun would fall in his 1st house. So she would stoke his personality. She would, you know, she would be like her sun would fall like all this other stuff in his 1st house. You know, it's just gonna be putting the limelight on him. Oh, honey, aren't you wonderful? Aren't you great? You do this. You know, she's just affecting. It's like gaslighting him. There we go. Everybody knows that word now. You know, so she gaslit him with her son over here, just puffed him up. Oh, aren't you wonderful? Aren't you just, to manipulate him to get what she wanted. Power. Okay, let's look at the moons. Where are their moons in each other's chart? Okay, so his moon's over here, a nice, comfortable Taurus. I believe it's, so the moon is all happy there. If it's not, I think it's as exalted there. I remember those right. So the moon's all happy there. It's like, if it's not home in Cancer, it feels it's like real good in Taurus, because it's all comfy and being fed and taken care of and all earthy, or, you know, just all nurtured. And it's like good place for the moon. So moon's all happy there. Look at his moon there, you know, and then she's the one that's got this, you know, this different moon. She's more psychic, more, but see, she's going to use it in a conniving way, just because we have already identified all this behind the scenes. But anyway, I want to compare them. It's hard not to trip off on other stuff. Okay, so Taurus. So his moon, and where's Taurus in her chart? So it's over here in the 6th house. So his moon in Taurus falls in her 6th house of work and service. That interesting. It's like, okay, they work together. You know, they work together emotionally. You know, her moon is in his 6th house of work, servants, daily things, activities, you know, just this kind of Virgo-y type energy. Not the sexiest place for a moon, or not the most emotionally secure place. It's more of a work area. It's like, I'm going to use him to accomplish my work, to get what I need in life. More, it just constantly keeps going back to how I can use this person. Okay, how about the other way around? How about her moon? Okay, so where is this Pisces in his chart? So 22 degrees Pisces in his chart. Look at that. It's in his 6th house too. Whoa. So they use each other, and they work together for ill means, but this is, you know, you can't make this stuff up when you start comparing and looking at people. So moons in both of their 6 houses, so they're going to allow each other. You know, they're working together. May I say more? On that emotional level, they allow each other's emotions to accomplish their work. They can move aside their personal agenda to get what they want. She wants power, and he just wants to get laid people. It was bigger in his than in her world. Okay, what else here between these two are we doing? A little bit more. Let's go on. Let's do a different one. Okay, wheel. I'm gonna do 2 wheels. Let's do Valerie and Eddie. Let's do actually Eddie on the left, and then we want Valerie. Oh, come on. It's not gonna let me do it. I'm gonna have to get rid of some of these. Maybe we can do it this way. No. All right, we're not gonna be able to do that one here. I'm gonna have to get rid of some of these. All right, actually we're kind of close. If I get into it, I'm gonna take you guys way later. But let me rehash some of these things. So let's just look at one person. All right, so if we're gonna look at one person and compare it with someone else, you want to look at the sun, because that is the identity of yourself. You want to see what aspects, if any, are to the sun, and look at all the inner planets. Other than Pluto, you can look at them all, but just for sake of just giving you a rule of thumb, look at Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, maybe Saturn, because there's some dour things, but, and then look at Pluto. Well, I don't know, look at them all, because they all give you a little piece of the picture. So just look at them all and just kind of take the idea. If we're doing with Pluto, we got transformations. If we're dealing with Uranus, we've got sudden things. If we're dealing with Neptune, we've got stuff that's dreamy or imaginary or deception or behind the scenes. If we're dealing with Saturn, we have control issues or boundaries. So yeah, just kind of keep those little key words while you're comparing some of these back and forth with people. So look at things with the sun, and then look at where the sun falls in somebody else's chart. So like Valerie Bertinelli, we're going to go, like whoever we're going to compare her to, we're going to go see where 3 degrees Taurus falls in whoever's chart, what sign or what house that's in. So if it falls in the 7th house, that's going to tell us that it's going to be more of a relationship thing. If it falls into the 8th house, it's going to be more of a sex thing. If in the 9th house, it's going to be more of an inspiration. 10th house is your occupation or who you are. It's not work, it's what you're really doing out in the world. 11th house is friends, 12th house is behind the scenes, 1st house is who you are, your personal identity, 2nd house is your possessions. It's like somebody's say that sun falls into your 2nd house. That's going to be either helping you with possessions, it's going to help you feel secure, especially if we got Taurus here. The 3rd house is going to be about communications, siblings, short trips, journeys. 4th house is about the home, emotional security. 5th house is your creations. It could be children, because children are creations. It could be things that you want to do, your artwork, or anything that you're creating. So we're going to look and just see those things, where those things fall. Sun in those areas is your identity with that. And if we go moon in those areas, that's your emotionalness with that. So if somebody's moon is in somebody's 7th house, that's going to be, you're going to feel comfortable maybe with the emotions with that partner. All right. If somebody's moon falls in your 6th house, that's going to be, you're going to be able to be comfortable with working or understand or being on that emotional in work, or in a work area, or working with that person. Okay, so then we're gonna look at that, and then you're gonna go look at like moon, compare, see what things are, moon with the other person's moon, moon with the other person's sun, moon with the Mars, moon with the Venus, then go look at the Mercuries, go compare like your minds, your Mercuries. I like to look at people's couples. I like to see a few things. I like to see like where the Mercury is, to see if you're on the same page in thought. Say Valerie Bertinelli here, she's got it in Aries, so she's going to be really mentally vibrant, alive, pioneering, talkative, happy, lively. Okay, now let's just click on Eddie. Where's his Mercury? His Mercury is over here in Aquarius. So at least that's a sextile, right, to the Aries. It's not by degree, but at least their element, because she had that in there. But look at him, he's got Mars in there. Anyway, we're talking about Mercury. So if we had, hers was Aries, his is this. So they're sextile, so that they get along mentally. She wasn't actually. She had her musicianship too. Remember when she was on One Day at a Time, and she was big into Elton John, and she would sing, do that, like the piano, and then her sister, whatever, do the singing. They did back and forth with, what was it, Kiki D, and something like that with that. But anyway, she was very musical, and very. I remember her dancing and being on that. So that was, of course, he did it for a living. I mean, he was, a guitar player, and there's like all that stuff. But anyway, that their mental, that at least they got that on the mental level. So anyway, we just start comparing back and forth between things. Look at where your moons are. Your moons compatible. I like people to have the emotions. So if your moon is in a compatible sign, or if it's sextile, trine, conjunct, that's going to be sweet. Other harsher angles to the moon tend to make people, if you're not on board emotionally with somebody, it's tough. You got to then agree to be disagree, or have some other things that are going to kind of de-emphasize that. If there's something to kind of offset that. So like if you're not emotionally with it, you got to have some other things to offset that. And then your minds should be somewhat compatible in a living person, with your living with somebody, your partner, because you want to be able to think on the same wavelength, and you want to be able to be comfortable with your emotions. I think those two are very, very important when you're looking at compatibility. All those other things I started to tell you about, can get into sex and attraction and all that. But once you get past that, what's there? I want to show you one other. Well, let's see. I'll do another one on it. Okay, so anyway, just synastry. There are, actually, let me just show you, I got a couple minutes. Let me just show you some other things with let me get this one, just with Venus. Nope, gotta get a different one. Hold on, stop share, bear with me. Let me get this other one. I gotta click on each one. There we go. And share this one, Venus, there we go. They made this so complicated, it was easier. All right, so Venus and synastry, this was interesting. So you can look at all of these, like Venus in somebody's first house. What does that mean? And what does it mean if it's in their second house and in the third house and fourth? So this gets into some specifics all the way through. I just want to point this out to you. So these all have meaning. This is very good to know these things and to go even deeper, looking at each thing specifically. Where all this is. I gave you a bit of an overview, but this is that side of you that's what you want, what your likes and your needs, and how you feel, and money and pleasure. So this is interesting to see where it falls in somebody else's chart. So I hope this gave you a little bit more of an insight on comparing two people. And again, it does not have to be always on a sexual relationship, by no means. And if you see something that is like, like what if you and your son have a Venus-Mars awesome connection? Doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you're going to have a sexual connection, but that it's a very strong woman and man or something. Or what if it's like your daughter, a mother and a daughter? Doesn't matter the sex side, but it's just going to have that connection. And you just have to mold it into the personalities that are playing that role out. If it's age appropriate person, it may be a hot sexual thing. And if it's a sibling or a son or daughter or something, then it's going to take on it's not going to be a sexual flavor, but it's still going to have that excitement or that dynamic. So just kind of mold that to, who's in the relationship. But we have these things with people, and it's very, very important to know that, so you're not ruled by it. So if you see somebody and you're like, oh my God, this person's amazing. But then when you look at all the other things, you go like, oh, oh crap, it's going to affect me this way or something. Reality comes in and slaps you around a little bit sometimes. It's like, well, this is the hot part, but all this is not conducive to long-term. Or this is all good for long-term, but I got to sacrifice something over on this side. So just looking at all these dynamics and seeing how cool all these relationships are, and how interesting all of these connections can be, and how complicated but yet simple it is. So they're complicated because you're looking at a lot of things, and simple because you can pare away all the unessentials. All right, unless anybody has any questions. think we'll sign off for today. So look at charts. If you have charts of people that you know, compare. And then if you don't know, at least get their birthdays, and you can just go look in the ephemeris and get like where this moon was, and you can see it with your moon, or this one's sun, and this one, you know, into the Venus, and you can just look that stuff up. You won't know the house placement unless you know the time and location, but you can at least get part of it and start comparing those easy comparisons back and forth. And then if you know the degrees, of course, you can look it up in the ephemeris so you can see it, and it lines up and it gives you some insight. So happy Synastry, and we'll see you next time on the Astrology Study Group. Bye. Thanks for attending.